All right, greetings and hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hangout tonight. I'm Tony Coleman Brown with the Network for Women in Business. For those of you who don't know me, but I know that we have quite a few people here that know me, and I'm excited to see you guys here in the room. We have an awesome training scheduled for you tonight. I have a very special guest, none other than Ms. Gail Campbell. She is a sales coach and she is just a speaker extraordinaire. I have to tell you, I met this woman at an event in New York and we got to talking and she reached out to me and she followed up. Let me, stress that she followed up with me and we got to know each other more and more. And then I invited her to speak on our platform at the Small Business Bootcamp for Women. And I'm telling you, she showed up and she showed out on that day. So it was actually phenomenal. So we only got a taste of what she had to offer at the Small Business Bootcamp for Women. But tonight, you guys are going to have the opportunity to get the full play by play, blow by blow, 911 or 411, I should say, the information on how to sell like a lady but close like a man. So I am so excited tonight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple of things. And first, let me just say hello to everyone. Hello to all of our guests. I'm looking at your names here and I see, some people that I definitely know. I want to say hi to Trisha, hi to Melissa, hi to Dolores, hi to Ciara, hi to Emily, hi to Jeanette. We have quite a few people here tonight. I'm sorry I can't get to everyone, but hello, everyone, and welcome. So what I'm going to do is I am going to share my screen. Now, I hope I get this right because a couple of times I did this and they told me that I need to share not the PowerPoint, but I need to share my desktop. Now, it's funny because I don't even see that as an option, but let me see what this does. Nope, that's not it. I know you guys don't want to look at that. Let's see. It's not the PowerPoint. I'm going to try this. Okay. I'm not sure if this is the right thing. Let's see. Present to everyone. And I want to say yes. I'm not sure what you guys can see. I'm going to turn on the chat. And you guys let me know what you can see. Let me know if you can actually see the full PowerPoint presentation. So I'm going to go back. So I enabled the chat and I'm going to say, hi, let me, I went on mute, right? Let me know what you can see. I'm not sure if that's the right thing. Let me do full screen. So if you guys can let me know what you can see, if you can see the full presentation.
Yep. Yep.
You can see it?
I can see it.
Okay, when I do this, is it moving?
Yes.
All right. So great. So let's go ahead and get started. So you can see it very well and it's moving when I do this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
All right, fantastic. So I have the right thing. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to turn the webinar over to none other than Miss Gail Campbell of Gail Campbell Coaching. All right, Gail, take it away.
Thank you so much, Miss Tony. Welcome, 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 everyone. Can you hear me okay? Is there an echo or feedback?
No feedback. I can hear you fine.
Excellent. Well, again, thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm just really excited for this presentation, and thank you to the fabulous Miss Tony. I'm so excited to meet her. As she said, we met in New York at an event, and I was just so really impressed with her and just excited to connect with her again. And so here we are today, and I'm delighted to be with you all. The topic is Sell Like a Lady, and the reason I put that there is because there are just so many of us that have this mistaken notion that we have to be unfeminine or masculine in our approach to business, particularly when it comes to dealing with sales. And what I believe is that there is a more authentic approach to it, and I'd like to share that with you. So Tony is going to be working the slides for me, and I really appreciate that. So as she mentioned briefly, I am a business coach. I'm a speaker and I'm an author of the upcoming books, which will be out in the early part of 2015, and it's called Sell Like a Lady, Close Like a Man. And I'm looking forward to sharing that with you and hope that you'll get a lot out of it. As a coach, I work with service-based entrepreneurs, and my goal, my passion is to really move women in particular from being uncomfortable to unbelievably fearless in the sales conversation. So let's move on to a little bit about me. Um, I've been a businesswoman pretty much all of my life. I have recently just left corporate America, but I always had a part-time business. One of my businesses was as a custom framer and a black art dealer, which I did very well working with banks and hospitals and a lot of private clients. In my recent departure, yay, from corporate America, I hired well, actually, a client hired me to be her master sales coach. She's a $12 million coach, and many of you would probably know who she was. I was one of her clients, and then she became my client. And in the midst of working with her for about 18 months, I added over $300,000 to her bottom line doing what I love. I was named Woman of the Year as a reward for top sales and leadership and team building with a direct sales coaching company. Again, mostly I'm just sharing this with you so that you understand that I've been rewarded for doing the very thing that I love and I love helping women with. I currently live in New Jersey, originally from New York, and I'm on the journey to building a multiple six-figure income. So let's talk about what we're going to cover today. Today, I want to talk about a woman's advantage in the sales conversation. So often we think that we don't have what it takes, and the truth is that we do. I want to share with you what men do that we can learn from and how to really overcome sales resistance so that we can be about the business of serving those that we're meant to serve and making money. So let's start with our natural sales advantage. As women, we are intuitive and nurturing and caring and good listeners and persuasive. And we build trust easily, which is something that is absolutely needed in today's relationship driven selling environment. We've often heard it said that it's about relationship today. It's not just about making that sale. It's really about connecting with people. The thing that I find to be very, very true is people have to know you, they have to like you, and they have to trust you. And as women, that's something that comes very naturally for us. I mean, we don't even go to the ladies' room alone. And so in a sales and a business environment, we really need to start to take advantage of that which is natural for us, which is engaging easily with people. So when we look at where we are and all the gifts that we bring, we know that we are just as powerful, just as successful, and just as accomplished as men, and yet when it comes to sales, we struggle. So the question is, why is that? The reason is To start with, we're socialized a little bit differently than boys are. I'm just taking a sip of water. Boys, and except now it's a little bit differently with the way girls are raised, but for most of us traditionally, and even still to a very great extent, boys are taught what? How to win, how to press their way. We're just socialized differently, how to go for it. Girls are taught, we are taught, how to play the game fairly, to take turns, to be cooperative. And that has filtered down for most of us right up until today. For the most part, men and women really want the same things. We want success. We want money. We don't want loving relationships and good health. But often there are differences in the ways that we go about communicating and pursuing what we want. For the most part, men, just in their natural ability, they tend to interrupt. We tend to wait our turn in order to speak. Men tend to make declarative statements that say exactly what they're going to do and exactly how they're going to do it. We tend to make statements that sound like a question. Men act like they know what they're doing and where they're going. We, thank goodness, in many, many cases, will stop and ask for directions. My point is that we do things differently. We do things differently, and there are things that we can learn from men. In a recent study, men were asked to rate themselves. Men were equal, women were equal in skills and ability. Men tend to exhibit higher levels of confidence than we do, and yet we know exactly what we're doing. But they tend to show up in a very dominant and masterful way. When men were asked in this study to rate themselves, they rated themselves better and higher than they actually were. And in the same study, and you all know that this is true even for us as individuals, we tend to second guess ourselves, to not recognize our brilliance, not recognize how actually good we are. And that can be a challenge. One of the things that men do so confidently is they simply act as if. So clearly the behaviors that we encountered as children, even as young men and women, are influencing us today. That is a challenge. Let me share a story with you. Next slide, please. There were 11 people hanging on a rope that came down from a helicopter. 10 were men and 1 was a woman. They all decided that one person should get off because if they didn't, the rope would break and everyone would die. No one could decide who should go. Finally, the woman gave a really touching speech on how she would give up her life to save the others, because women were used to giving up things for their husbands, their children, and just giving it to men in general. All the men started clapping. Now, I know I can hear you laughing out there, because when I first saw this, I thought, that's what we do. That's how powerful we are, that we can actually influence people in general, and men in particular, when we set our minds to it. So, the challenge is, what is holding us back? Next slide, please. What is holding us back? Well, for the most part, it's our feeling about sales. Some of it varies from just being uncomfortable to downright revulsion when we think about sales. So whether we say we hate it, or we don't want to appear to be pushy, or we don't like asking for money, the bottom line is it's really a fear of rejection. No one likes to be told no. No one likes to hear no. And as a result of that, we have formed these thoughts and ideas about the sales process that are not necessarily true. Many of it comes from the male-dominated sales industry of years ago, and it's been transferred down even until today, where people take advantage of others or push them into buying something that they don't want or making them uncomfortable in the sales conversation. And as a result, we as women, that doesn't work for us. We like to be authentic. We like to be caring. We like to be sharing. But the bottom line in terms of not liking sales, it's really all about what are they going to think about me? I don't want them thinking that I'm just after their money or that I don't want to be of good service. And that's not true. And so part of what we need to do is to really start to think about how we're going to move past this fear. It's time to see selling as a way to help people make an informed decision in their own best interest. That's how I see sales. That's how I coach and encourage my clients to see sales. And that's how I want you to see sales. To see selling as a way to help people make an informed decision in their own best interest. So when we look at the next slide, I want you, everything you want is on the other side of fear. I'd actually like you to write that down. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. You have to think about those things that are more important to you than being afraid. You have to focus on your clients, your potential clients, and not yourself. So this is going to move you past. I know what this feels like. I've always been a person that enjoyed sales. Even as a young woman, I sold cookies and candies and anything that I thought a person would like to have that would be beneficial to them. I've always loved sales. But I actually started off as one of those pushy salespeople. And I had to learn that it was really about relationship and building and serving people. So part of my journey as I was moving and growing my business successfully, I decided, while I wasn't afraid of sales, I had other things that I was afraid of. And so next slide, I decided to use these examples as metaphors for my life and for my business, and I actually went skydiving. I jumped out of a plane at 14,000 feet just to get past the fear. What I have up here on the screen, feel the fear and do it anyway, that's what I've done in my life. Areas where I was afraid, I was uncomfortable, and it's like, it's never going to change until I change it. Then I went to Tony Robbins. I know many of you have heard of him. And I experienced the fire walk. Again, really, really scary. But I used it as a way of saying, okay, if you're afraid of this, you'll never get past the other fears that you have in your life. And so it's really important to take a stand, because fear becomes a habit. It becomes a habit. Every time you have the opportunity to move forward, you don't. And then you get used to that. And then the next time something comes up that you're afraid of, you fall into this consistent habit until it gets harder and harder to break through it. There's time now to make a decision that you are no longer going to have your fears run your life. And so I have two things that I want to suggest to you that will move you away from being stuck in your fears. We're all fearful, but to be stuck in your fears. And one of my favorite sayings is, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So we start with mindset. The way you look at any situation has an impact on the way you think. So it's absolutely imperative for you to start with this idea of, you know what, I'm not going to see this anyway. Because the truth is, without sales, you don't even really have a business. You might love what you do. You might be fabulous at it. You might even draw people into you to want to know more about who you are and what you do. But when it comes to that conversation, if you can't comfortably move them to the place where you can serve them, all is for naught. So the first thing you have to do is have a shift in the way you actually view the sales conversation. Part of what I like to work with on my clients is your whole image about yourself, how you see yourself. That's not for today's conversation, but that's a large part of what you're going to bring to the table. But where we start is in changing our minds. We need a shift. We need a paradigm shift into how we start to look at things. And next slide, please. Under paradigm, change begins with your thinking. There is a mind-body connection. I happen to love sales. I see it as a way to serve, but I can understand where people would be uncomfortable. But when you start to decide, I'm going to see it differently, I'm going to do something different, then your body, the fear starts to lessen in your body. And I have some really good techniques about how to get fear out of the body, particularly just before you're about to go on a sales call. But that's a major part of starting to gain success in this very, very, very important area. The other thing is to see sales equal to service. You cannot sell them, you cannot help them rather, until you sell them. It's not about you. Your love for your client, your love for what you have determined to do with your business has to transcend the fear that you have. And again, I absolutely understand where you're coming from, but the bottom line is you really don't have a choice if you're going to have a successful business. The way you think has a lot to do with the words that you say, because then your words become your behavior. Your behavior becomes your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. And your destiny is to have an awesome, growing business. That's your destiny. But it's going to start with how you think. That's absolutely key. So in the course of developing your business, one of the things that I like to work with my clients is to take the focus off yourself. Because again, most of us, and it's quite natural, because we are caring, because we are loving, because we want to be there to help and support people, our thoughts are, I don't want them to think that I'm trying to take advantage of them. I don't want them to think that I'm all about the money. I don't want them to think that I don't care about them. And so we start to focus on ourselves rather than our clients. My strong recommendation as we look at moving forward is to realize that it's something that we need to do right now. I saw something the other day that I thought was rather cute, and it said there are 7 days in the week. There's Sunday, there's Monday, there's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Someday is not one of the days. One of these days is not one of the days. It's now. Decide now, as you're looking to move forward with your business, that you are going to transcend that fear. The second area that is absolutely imperative to move your business forward is to learn that there is a sequencing, an order, a system to the sales process. And what I mean by that, there are things that you have to learn what to say, you have to learn what to do, when to say it, and it's all part of that sequencing system and order of the sales process. Most of us, just wing it. We get into a sales conversation and we think, if I present this so well that the client will say to me, okay, I'm ready. Who do I make the check out to? That rarely happens. It can happen, but it rarely, rarely does. One of the areas that is absolutely important is, again, to know the system, to know the flow. Part of the flow is meeting prospects. You have to know, where do I find people? For most of us, it's speaking and networking. When you're in a networking situation, wouldn't you love to know what to say when you're standing there talking with people, so that a little later on, when you connect back with them, the way Tony and I did, that there's an interest there for what you have to offer. So where do I meet people? Setting the appointment. Most of us, when we meet new people, the first thing we tend to do is say, well, let's go have lunch together, and I'll talk about my business and you talk about your business. That is not the most effective and efficient way. We like to teach people how to set that appointment so that they can then move on to what we call the strategy session. And that's the session where you start to talk with somebody about what you can do to help change their business or their life, depending on what kind of services that you're offering. The other part of the system and the sequencing is learning how to create a connection with people. We called it building rapport. Some people don't do it at all. Some people do it too early. Other people do it too late. It's critical in the flow of the sales conversation. What to do, what to say, when to say it. As we move through the flow, the next part is uncovering the need. Have you ever met somebody that wanted you to buy their services and they never asked you a question? They just start telling you about what they have to offer and how good it is and why you need it, and it's a real bargain, all these sorts of things. And maybe one or two of us have even been guilty of that. Part of the sequence is to uncover, to discover, what do they need? When do they need it? Why do they need it? Many of us don't do that. We just start talking, just start telling. Now, once you have uncovered the need, then the next is to supply your unique solution to that particular issue, that particular problem that they have. Because they were drawn to you and they set the appointment up because they felt that you could help solve that particular issue or that particular problem. And so that's critical for you to bear that in mind when someone is on the phone with you or someone is sitting across from you, that it's no accident that you are talking with them. They really do have a need for what you have, and it's up to you to learn how to effectively transfer that from you to them in a way that makes them, for the most part, we'd like them to say yes, but if not, to at least come to a solution, a decision rather. So you've outlined your solution, you've met them, you've set up an appointment, you've had your discovery session or your strategy session. You created a connection with them. It's all about relationship. You uncovered or discovered what they need. You were not pushy, you were not dominant, you were not any of those things. You outlined how you could help with that problem with no focus on whether they say yes or no. This is all about sharing information. If they say yes, awesome. If they say no, that's okay. And then you close naturally. This is where most people seem to get stuck. They will avoid this part of that sales conversation no matter what. They dance around. They wait for the person to ask them because they really don't want to hear no. And they never come to a place of simply asking, does that sound like something that would work for you? That is absolutely critical to your whole process of learning the sales conversation. The most important thing is for you to recognize, next slide please, that you as a woman bring so much to the table. It's just natural for us to want to support and encourage and help other people. Secondly, that men bring so much to the table that we can learn from and still stay in our feminine place, and that there are steps to really overcoming any resistance that you have with sales, starting with yourself and recognizing just how fabulous you really are, and then moving that into your business on a day-to-day basis. What I wanted to offer to Tony's listeners tonight is a copy of my report called 7 Mistakes That Women Make in the Sales Conversation. I think you're going to find them extremely valuable. Most of us do at least 2 to 3 of them, and it will help you the next time you're in front of a prospect. And the second thing I'd like to offer is a 30-minute complimentary strategy session. Most of us know when we're in the process of making a sale, we might make the sale, but we don't exactly know what we did specifically that the person said yes. And other times, we won't make the sale, and we still are not quite sure why it didn't work out. I'd like to have the conversation with you to share with you, based on our chat, what you can do better in your next conversation, and maybe some things that you're doing very well that you should continue to do. So for those who would like to take advantage of the free report, you can simply go to GailCampbellCoaching.com/sales mistakes. My apologies that it's very light on the screen. GailCampbellCoaching.com/sales mistakes. And for those who would like to have a complimentary, totally no obligation call for 30 minutes to talk about what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong in a sales conversation, simply email me at gail@gailcampbellcoaching.com. That's gail@gailcampbellcoaching.com. So one of the things that I love to share with people about that place of transformation that I know has helped me, next slide, is there are things that you know. You know you're a business owner or you're starting a business. Then there are things that you don't know. You don't necessarily know or understand fully the order, the sequencing of a successful sales conversation and closing that sale. Then there are the things that you don't know that you don't know. These are things that cost you time, effort, energy, and money. And it's also the place of transformation when you realize that you can cut years off of your learning curve as you're growing your business, when you connect with someone who already knows how to do what you need to learn how to do. Again, things that you know you don't know, and then there are things that you don't know that you don't know. So I'm looking forward to hearing from each one of you that would like to take advantage. I would love to be able to chat with you in terms of how I can help you with your business, give you tips, give you ideas, support you in growing your business by getting better and better and better at sales. It has been an absolute delight, a real pleasure to chat with you. If anybody has a question, I am happy to answer that question at this time, if that's okay with you, Tony. In any way that I can be supportive, I'm delighted.
Absolutely. That was great information. I just want to take the information out of here, and I want to be able to put it in the chat group. So, okay. So a lot of people just started writing in that they could see. So I typed in, let's just stop this. So I typed in the URL. I'll type it in again
Okay.
so that I can make it a link. That's Gail Campbell
That's which one? Which link?
Coaching.
Okay, it's Gail at GailCampbellCoaching.com.
I'm doing that one, the sales
Okay.
mistakes first.
Okay.
Sales mistakes. I think that's right. So now it's a clickable link.
Good.
Okay. And the other one is Gail at
At
Gail Campbell Coaching, right?
.com.
All right. So I have that in there. So
Excellent.
you guys, we have the chat open. So if you have any questions that you want to ask Gail, that now that we have her on the line here, why don't you go ahead and type in your questions in the chat, and we can, do some Q&A because we have quite a bit of time. Um, so I see that everybody was letting me know that they can see the slides. But if you have questions, go ahead and feel free to ask your questions to Gail. She said a lot of things that were really, really phenomenal. And there were some big takeaways from her presentation. I like her quote, when you change the way you see things, the way you see things will change. Is that right? Did I say it right?
Well, it's actually that's close enough. It's when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. That's actually a Wayne Dyer quote, which I actually love. So yeah, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Change. All
Yeah.
right. That's awesome. That is really awesome. So that's one that you guys can definitely take away. And I like the ending when you talked about you know what you know.
hmm
And what was the second one?
Okay, there are
You know
things
what
that you know,
the things that you
and
know,
the things you do that you don't know.
the things that you don't know you don't know.
That's right. Things you don't know, you don't know.
And
And then, yes.
you know what's funny, Gail? I think that that's where a lot of us get caught up
hmm
in, the don't know that you don't know. And I call that, there's a conscious competence.
That's
That's
right.
when you know what you know.
That's right.
There's the unconscious incompetence.
That's
And
right.
that's when you don't know what you don't know, right?
That's right. That's
And
right.
there's a conscious competence. And that's
Yeah.
when you know you know there's things that you don't know. But when
Eggs.
you have that unconscious incompetence,
Oh
right?
boy.
That's when you
Yeah.
don't know that you don't know. And those are the things that are
Those are the things.
really, really holding you back because there are certain, I won't say that they're secrets, but there's certain information that you really don't have.
Exactly right.
And a lot of times, it's not until somebody presents that information to you that
hmm
you are really able to quantum leap. You're really able to get to the next level. And sometimes, for most of us, and I think you would agree with this, Gail, that we're like this close.
Yes.
We're like this
Yes.
close. It's all
Yes.
we're touching it. We're
Yeah.
touching it. But we
Yeah.
just need someone to kind of like just push us over the edge, right?
Well, I agree with you 100% that sometimes as we're moving up the levels of growing our business, you're right. We're right at the border of the next big leap, but we're trying it based on um, our limited amount of information that we have. And that's why what you do is so phenomenal in terms of always having great information available for people to pick up, to use, to learn your great book. All of that is designed to cut the time, cut the cost of growing your business because you learn from someone who's gone ahead of you. Mistakes are costly. And for many of us, if we knew now, I mean, we knew then what we now know, we could have been 2 or 3 years ahead in terms of developing and growing our business if we hadn't gone down so many rabbit holes, so many wrong paths, because we think, oh, I'll figure it out. Figuring it out takes too much time. It costs you more money than most people realize because they think they haven't invested in like the programs that you have to offer around social media and marketing. The mistakes that you make, it's too high a price to pay.
That's
Too
right.
high a price to pay. Yeah. So it's awesome.
And
Um,
it's interesting too that, one of the things that I've found is that a lot of us have done a lot of things right.
yes.
And a lot of times when we've done those things that have caused us to have a certain level of success, for some strange reason, we seem to think that there's something else that we should be doing.
Wow. Good.
So
That's
what
good.
will end up happening is we'll stop doing what worked because
Yes.
we think that there's something else that we should be
Hmm.
doing.
Hmm.
When the fact of the matter is, we should be doing more of those things that worked.
Exactly.
So this is a great time of the year, and I think that you would probably agree with this, where people can go back and look at the year and look at the months where they've done really well
Hmm.
and duplicate some of those same actions to repeat that cycle. Because
Exactly.
I heard a businesswoman say the other day, I know what months work in my business. I know that this month, January is going to be a bust, and I know that I'm going to make
Mm-hmm.
the most money in October, November, and December. I know that April is going to be the spring is going to be, preparing for the summer or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's right.
And she basically kind of said that she knew what her business was going to do. So she didn't really have to do anything differently because she already knew what was going to happen.
Mm. Mm-mm.
And, what's really crazy about what she said was, if she did some things a little bit differently, she might have a different outcome. You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
Exactly.
So one of the things that I think that, when it comes down to sales, I believe that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you know, it's about volume at a
Mm.
certain point in time, and it's almost like uh, when you're trying to build a muscle,
Yes.
right? Becoming good at sales is like trying to get Angela Bassett arms, right?
Mm.
So what it is that you just have to keep practicing, 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 and practicing, and before you know it, by the time you look back of all of that practice, out of all, because every day is like a dress rehearsal, right?
That's right. That's right.
So, when you look back at all of those practices, what you'll notice is that you've gotten better and better.
That's absolutely correct. And one of the things that I find helps with the practice that you're talking about is when you have the opportunity to talk with a prospective client, I tell my clients to go for a no. I've learned that myself, and that actually helps a lot. Instead of looking for a yes, set up your day to see how many no's can you get that day. Present it the way you normally would and give your very best, but your goal is let me see how many no's I can get. I guarantee you that out of those no's, you're going to get two, three, four yeses. Out of 10 no's, you're going to get two. So that's the practice that you're talking about. The attitude is just different.
Right.
You're not as nervous, you're not as concerned, you're not as upset because you're thinking, you know what, I'm just going to practice. I don't even care if they say no.
Right. And one of the things that, I've heard some people say is try to get 100 no's. As a matter of fact, I've seen
Well,
the spreadsheet where you
that's
have
right.
it blocked out with 100 blocks.
That's
And
right.
you're supposed to cross it out every time, cross out a block every time you get a no.
Hmm.
And The promise is you'll never cross out all of the blocks,
That's
because
right.
with each try, you'll just get better and better and better, and you'll get so good until you'll never reach 100 no's, because by the time you've gotten to the 25th no, you're
Yep.
so good
Yep.
that you probably won't get a no
Mhm.
again. So that's pretty powerful. Now, we do have a question,
Sure.
and this question is from Leona Martin. I really should have on my glasses, but it says, "Hi, Gail. This is probably a question for a different webinar. But I am a career coach and sometimes work with colleagues that say they don't have any money. But I'm trying to build my client base and know that sometimes smaller community colleges and community grassroots organizations don't have much money. But I need to be making money since this is my livelihood, and they want you to do pro bono work. How do you approach these interactions?" That's a really good question,
That is
actually.
that is a good question. So let me make sure that I understand. She's working in an organization that wants her services, but they want her to volunteer or to
Yes.
give them away. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's it's really as simple as a decision. And again, I'm hearing this very loving, caring, feminine approach to a business opportunity or to sales, which is I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want to offend them. I'd like to be able to help them, but I have to eat. And so, really, it comes down to a decision that you make. This comes back to my whole premise of sell like a lady, but close like a man. And that's on any kind of a deal. And the bottom line is you cannot say yes to those people. You have to come back to them. When you hit your six figures, then you start to entertain people that you can do pro bono work for or you can give away. For now, the answer is no. Most of our sales challenges as women start with us. And we have to decide that we like money, we want money. I love what I heard her say. Um, she needs money to live. This is her livelihood. You don't owe anybody any explanation. The answer is I'd love to be able to help you, but I'm not in a position to do that at this time. The best I can do instead of my regular fee is 3,000. The best I can do for you is charge you 1,800 or 2,000. But the the decision not to work for free comes from you. It's as simple as that. The answer is not yet, not now. Wait till you get to six figures, then you can start to do that because then you're in a position to really be able to do it from a joyful heart rather than a fearful place, which is what most people do. Well, I better take this just to get some practice or whatever. Don't do it. Don't do it. I hope that helps you and answers your question. Great question, by the way.
Yeah, that was really awesome. Um, and I think that a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, when they're first starting out, and you and I have had some conversations about this in the
Hmm.
past, as a matter of fact, as it relates to charging what you're worth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I loved what you had to say to me when you talked about, Tony, it's just a decision.
Yeah.
And I think that just as simple as you said that, it really kind of clicked in my head that,
Mm.
when Tony's ready to charge X amount of dollars, Tony will charge X amount of dollars. And I mean, you had a lovely, lovely comment about the Small Business Boot Camp
Oh,
and
yeah.
how you felt like,
Oh,
if
it
you
was
want to
awesome.
share
It was
that.
fabulous.
Yeah.
One of the things that I was thinking about um, in those situations where we feel, because what she says is about her colleagues, and what we do is we forget as businesswomen that there's a great, big, fabulous world out there waiting for you. You are defining your worth by the people that you're surrounded with that you think can or cannot pay you. The people that are going to pay you what you're worth, you don't even know them right now. You don't know who they are. You've never seen them. They've never seen you. But you're going to stand up, stand out, start to let the world know who you are and what you have to offer, and people are going to be drawn to you. Money is an energy that you draw to you. And when you decide I'm worth it, I may not be worth it in these people's eyes, but I'm worth it, number one, in my eyes. And number two, there's somebody somewhere right now looking for a great career coach and willing to pay her what she's worth. So don't define your worth by the people that maybe even are your current clients. There is a time to move on, to move up, and to put yourself out there so that people that are looking for you can find you and are willing to invest in themselves through you. Yeah.
That's awesome. And now, Debbie Jones has a question, and she says that she works at a community college, and my task is to sell training to businesses and industries, and they do not have money. But to keep my job, I must sell enough to pay my own salary. I am struggling. So, what do you say to Debbie Jones? It almost sounds like um, there is a little bit I don't believe that a lot of businesses and industries don't have money. I believe that they do have money, and they're spending money.
Yes.
And I think that this particular question might have to do with a level of belief in what it is that you're offering to these businesses and
You've nailed
industries.
it. Yeah, you've nailed it. That's how I see it. Because anytime we start, whether it's this corporation or whether it's individual people, one of the things that I like to help my clients with is keep your hand and your mind out of other people's pockets. Do not determine what they can and cannot do. I get surprised all the time. I think to myself, well, I'm just going to make the offer. I'm sure she's going to say no. And I'm shocked because she says yes, because something tells me she doesn't have the money, but I never not ask. So for you, it's about, you said it perfectly, Tony. It's about her belief in what she has to offer. If you're around people who don't value you, that only means that you need to find other people. You cannot hang around people who you look at and think, oh, I'd like to be able to help them, but they don't have the money to pay me. No, it's time to go find new clients. You set the standard, and what you said is absolutely on point. One of the areas that I work intensively with my clients is their belief in themselves, for them to see their self worth, to see their brilliance, to see their magnificence as individuals, not to mention what they bring to the marketplace. And so that really satisfies uh, the whole notion of am I worth it? You simply find yourself moving away from people who don't value you, and all of a sudden you're in an arena because you've attracted them of people who think, "Wow, you know what? I like what she says, and I think that my investment, I'm going to get two, three, four times that back in services." So yeah, you hit it on the head, Tony.
I look like, I don't know, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay, but you can't see me, right?
I can see you.
Oh, you can see me? I don't know. It looks like everything just froze up over here. I don't
Uh,
know. Okay, we do have another question from Josette. And see my I don't know. I froze up over here.
well, you look good to me.
And my computer froze up a little bit, so I don't want to hit the refresh button.
Hello, Gail?
Yeah, is that frozen?
Yes, ma'am. It says waiting for people to join this video call.
Oh, okay, yeah, I think it's frozen because of technical difficulties. I think I'm gonna hang up
Okay.
and come back in and see what happens.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Hi, this is Gail.
Yeah, what did it do now? Because I had to.
It's not doing anything. It's still like frozen. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's done.
Okay. Well, that's okay. We were at the top of the hour anyway, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happened is my computer froze
Wow.
completely.
Okay. Great. That's all right. That's okay. I thought it went very well, in terms of I love the engaging that you did. I felt that was just so appropriate and it just worked out so well. So yeah, thank you for that. Um, no, it's okay. It's all good.
Yeah, so it was good, but I don't know what happened over here.
That's okay. It's not major. I don't think it's major. I mean, people can always send me their questions. I'd be happy to, answer them for them. That's not a problem at all. If there were any additional questions. Oh, thank you so much. That's great. Yeah.
Email because it automatically records.
Yeah.
So the recording is available, and it just. And that's just I don't know what sometimes when you have that live streaming, and that's the part that I don't like about the live streaming part.
Okay.
Like I like GoToWebinar because it doesn't have that.
Right.
It's like it's not enough.
Uh-huh.
Platform, and that platform is very shaky. But things like that happen all the time, like it pauses, it freezes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's powerful, of course.
That's okay. That's all right. I was very happy with it. I realize now that I was so busy thinking that I could have had more, to fill up. Yeah, I could have had. Yeah, I realize that now. But so just good learning. Because I was thinking, oh, it's going to be too much, and then because most of the time that I've seen slides, they were like 40 slides, and I thought, oh, that's